Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday night, and Tuesday night with Ben Stowe, and Ben is out getting himself a cup of coffee because he wants to be wired. He wants to be so psyched when it comes time for the show tonight that he'll be able to answer your questions in less than 30 seconds flat. So if you've got questions, this is the time to get them in line, in order, for our Tuesday night with Ben Stowe live. And we can show you the scene right now, but it's kind of an empty scene without Ben and his lovely persona gracing the screen. So we'll be getting Ben in just a moment here because he's getting the cup of coffee. I see him coming into our screen right now. I'm live. You're not yet. I figured I would shut that side of it off just in case. There we are. Now you're live.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yes, he's getting his cup of coffee. He is now ready to be caffeinated and to have a show. Oh, yes. Tonight, we're going to talk about all sorts of things, your questions, in the chat room on YouTube. So if you're watching this on Facebook, thank you for watching. But go to our YouTube channel, and you can find the link in the description of the Facebook video. Just go there and, the more information, what have you, go out to the YouTube, because in that, you're going to be able to go to the chat room, and you're going to follow our chat as people are talking and asking questions, and you're going to be able to ask questions of Ben. Da-da-da. Juan Mauricio is the only one here who's asking questions. Oh, wait, no, he's not asking questions. He's in there just giving us all sorts of insight.
Well, like what? I'm curious.
Nothing. No, it's Juan.
It's Juan. Juan's my brother from down south. He's a good 200 miles south of me. So.
Yes, he is. Yeah. He is down in the St. Paul area.
Yep, the deep south of Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Exactly. He's from the other side of the east side of the river. Okay, so we are, and Juan's question was, did you feel a disturbance in the force today, Ben?
We all did, and maybe that's a jumping off point for the show. It's been said, obviously, 10,000 places and ways. Carrie Fisher's passing today, and of course, earlier this year, we lost Kenny Baker, who was R2-D2. Unfortunately, time marches on. And, it's interesting. I think I'm shooting from the hip on this deal, but these people are humans, who are not the characters that they play, but their characters touch us, forever. I mean, we do silly things like, buy posters with their face on it and, whatever. I was never a Carrie Fisher fanboy. I know she caught the hearts of many a young geek, and, maybe particularly with the slave Leia outfit from the Return of the Jedi. I was never a Leia fanboy, but I can't imagine anybody better to deliver the role of Princess Leia, to deliver that gritty, quick-witted, tough, the character that a rebellion princess needed to be, walking the line between a senator's daughter in the Imperial Senate, but then also being a key part of the rebellion. And just her dialogue in Episode 4 with Darth Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin. I thought that, So anyway, so thank you, Carrie Fisher, for the character, for making the original trilogy so awesome. And thank you, Kenny Baker, and everybody else we lost in 2016, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a disturbance in the force today, Juan.
There was. Yeah, 60, definitely too young. It's interesting. My children, when they heard about the passing of Prince and David Bowie and others throughout the year, they didn't. But today, they know who Princess Leia is, and we're talking.
We lost so many great performers and inspirators and celebrities. And I saw a great post on Facebook that says we lost our prince and our princess. People die every day. People you've never met die every day. People that are important to somebody, die every day. But these are people who touched a wide swath of humanity with their talent, So at this rate, though, like I posted on Facebook today, I'm just hoping to get out of 2016 alive myself.
Exactly. I heard you're going to hold up in the basement for the next couple of days.
Man, I tell you, just pins and needles.
Oh.
I'll be rigging tomorrow. But I guess I really couldn't feel safer, honestly, than when I'm rigging. It's probably the safest thing I do.
Yeah, you're all strapped in and such. if you guys haven't had a chance to check out Ben and his harness and such when he's rigging, that's some serious equipment that the man uses. It's pretty cool stuff.
I'm pretty in love with myself, so
I guess that's a good thing. There's a clip for the beginning of the show. All right, we're going to start off talking, and again, we're going to get your questions in if you guys have got some things, but we're going to talk a little bit about setting up our wireless microphones, especially all the little gains and different things that are on the mic. And Ben, I've got one here, and I think you were going to try to grab a couple to kind of give us some examples of.
Yeah, I grabbed a couple as I was running out the door at the office today. I think the question, as it was presented to me, was adjusting wireless microphone gain structure.
Yes.
And I like it the way it's phrased that way, because when we think about gain structure, we're talking about the process of adjusting gains throughout an entire system. And it's very difficult to fix a problem at one stage at another stage. It needs to be fixed there. It needs to be fixed where the problem exists. And you always start from the input and work your way to the output. And wherever you have a place for gain, that's where it should be fixed. And so this is a great topic, because we normally would adjust gains for a microphone on a mixing board, with the exception of microphones that maybe have pads or things built in. In this case, we have gain on the wireless microphone itself. We have electronics on the wireless microphone. So if the gain there is wrong, we cannot fix that at the mixing board. It needs to be fixed at the wireless mic. So great question.
Good deal. Well, let's dig into it, because I've got a Shure here that I use quite a bit, and there were times I ended up having an issue with it when I sent it back into Shure to get some work done on it. Okay, I dropped it, and they fixed it, replaced it, sent it back, and it's never had the same output as it did before. And I see the difference, and I'm going to show you guys here. There on the mic itself, we've got a little bit of a little dial, what have you there. It says, I believe it says gain, but I'm not. And then, of course, on your receiver.
You can't see because of your eye surgery. So
yeah, exactly.
Have one of your kids read it to you.
Exactly. They're not around here. And then on the back of the receiver, I've got my my selection of my line and my mic here. That confuses me. And then on the front, I have a level. Excuse me, I'm upside down. And then I've got a level here. And I just how all these things work together just befuddles me sometimes.
Well, let's make it simpler. Let's start simple. First and foremost, line and mic level are very different. And that would be important to know. What type of input? Yep, there you go. Thank you. Depends on what type of input you're going into on your mixing board. And what it's saying is we can change that balanced XLR connector you see there where it says balanced low Z. We can change that to either line level, which is about 1.2 volts, or mic level, which is 0.002 volts approximately. Mm-hmm. And so you can see there's a huge difference there, 1,000, millivolts more to line level. If you're going into, so just know what you're going into. If you're going into a line level input, then it should be set to line, because there's nothing you can do at the mic level that will make it adequate. And if it's going into a mic preamp on a mixing board, then it should be set to mic level. If it's set to line level, it's going to overdrive that preamp. It's going to sound terribly distorted, and there's just nothing you're going to be able to do to fix that. So, unless you stuck like an inline pad or something in there, and that would be silly when all you'd have to do is flip the switch, So that's that. As far as the level on the microphone itself, I think that's a great jumping off point. And I brought 3 different examples myself here to show that sort of same thing. I grabbed these. This is an Audio-Technica 2000 series. I wanted to grab a mic that's, a couple $100, inexpensive, and that's what this is.
Sure.
What we see here when we open this mic up.
I think I'm going to switch you to full screen if I can.
Oh, all right. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Or I'm going to make you bigger. I guess Yes, you've got the screen now.
All right, so here we've got a couple little settings that you can see, a channel selection setting, and here, again, we can see level right there. So same kind of deal as what you've got on your mic.
Yeah.
Is that working?
Yep. We can see it. Yep, I just wanted to turn
just trust me. There's a little tiny screw there, and think of it just like a rotary pot on your mixing board or any other, volume knob per se, that as we turn that knob, squeaky here.
Yeah.
As we turn that knob to the right, it's going to get louder, and to the left, it gets quieter. Now you'd say, well, where do I set it?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? Well, on the this series, there's a meter on the receiver itself, and that's what we're going to use. And in fact, I've brought an Electro Voice RE2 system from our rental department, which works very, very similar. So here's the RE2, and in this case, that little adjustment is inside here.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And we're going to take and I've got a receiver over here. There we go. We can see is that working okay? You see it all right?
Yep. I can see it. Yep.
The receiver. And right now we see there's 2 meters on here, and neither is indicating anything. One is going to indicate radio strength, and the other is going to indicate audio. So immediately when I turn it on, I got to make sure I can see it here.
Yep.
Is that good? Trying to find the right angle here.
Yep. That looks good. We can see that the bottom is.
We need a better camera crew and a producer and all that.
That's okay. Let's face it.
We got a webcam in Ben's basement, But
and the backdrop is awesome looking, so we'll just go with that.
Thank you. Yeah, in fact, one of those posters, a gift from my oldest daughter. Anyway, so we can see the bars all the way over indicate the radio strength. And if I bring the microphone up here and just start talking into it like I was the other microphone, now we should see something happening on the audio.
Right.
Okay, so we would make that adjustment on there. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. We would make that adjustment on there somewhere over to, in this case, about the 0, but maybe not all the way. We want to, under normal conditions, make sure we have enough gain that we're above the noise. We have a good, strong, clean signal, but you got to leave room for peaks, those transients and things. If the guy, like me, you just gets really excited, and all of a sudden, laughs or shouts or something, you got to have some room to absorb that transient. So you don't want the needle getting pegged, basically, is what I'm saying. Give yourself a bit of room to the top, but bring it as far over as you can, while leaving room. I guess I don't know, that sounds really not clear when I say it that way.
Well, I understand. I can follow you, but as I'm thinking about this, there are times where I have had a microphone that the guests are using it, or they're doing a toast and such, and I can watch my receivers as they're, when all of a sudden it goes, woohoo, that kind of a thing. And you see in your receiver, all of a sudden it goes black, except for the red at the last LED stays red, and everything else just goes black on it because he's just completely, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So in a situation like that, I might want to have it so that there's more, would you call it headroom? Or what would you call that?
Yeah, I guess we can call it that for, all intents and purposes. Some more room in the preamp before it maxes out. Again, noting that we're going to have to bring up the whole signal on the mixing board a little bit. If we had a compressor or something inserted, that would help us deal with those transients there. Whether it be on an analog board and we insert a compressor, that way, or on a digital board where now compressors are sort of, part of the package. That would give us the ability to deal with that a little bit.
Now, very few DJ controllers, I've got a few of them in the office here, but I don't recall virtually any of them having a built-in compressor. Am I?
No, and most of them don't have the ability to insert either. And, obviously, I love DJs. I mean, I've been a big part of the DJ community for 20 years. So I'm giving freely of my time right now to help educate DJs. So DJs, remember, this comes from love. But this is why the pro audio world really doesn't think much of DJs. And I don't know if that's so much the DJ's fault, since DJ, you can't really help, I guess, what you got on your DJ controller. But the fact is, all these tools do exist, and DJs don't use them. And so that's why the rest of the pro audio world kind of smacks their collective head, is these tools exist for a reason, and they're essential. And, in fact, I've even argued to my pro audio colleagues that DJs deserve more respect because they have to wear so many hats. You're the audio tech, you're the lighting tech, you're the talent, you're the booking agent, so on one hand, DJs probably deserve a lot more respect, but anyway, that's one of the reasons that DJs are not very well liked in the pro audio world, I guess.
For sure.
And I think a lot of DJs wear both hats, and I think that makes it easier to understand. You go over here and you got all these tools, and and then you come back to a DJ controller, and it's sort of tough sledding. Now, That being said, DJ controllers bring a lot more tools to the party. They bring a lot of abilities to, do DJing,
Yeah.
I mean, they're far better suited than a live sound console for the act of actually DJing. I brought one more mic I want to show you here. This is a Sennheiser 100 series Evolution, EW100, and we're just going to fire it up. And here we can see we've got a nice little graphic display. I don't know if you can see it or not.
No, not yet. We haven't picked it up yet.
There
we go. There we go. Now we can see it. Frequencies.
Yeah. All right. On this, there is a meter, and here we adjust the sensitivity in the menu. Let's see if we can make that work.
Yeah, I can see sensitivity. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we can adjust that sensitivity, in 3 dB increments here. And here again, not only does my receiver have a meter, but so does this mic. I'll commit a cardinal sin here, and I'm reading this backwards in the webcam, so I don't know how I'm doing, but how am I doing?
You stored it. You stored it, and I think we're back to ready to run it now.
All right, there we go. Can you see that? If I tap on this, you should see I'm doing a cardinal sin here, tapping on a mic. But
yep. We can see it bouncing, and it's reaching about halfway up.
Yeah, so we could use that meter as well. You could have the person talking, and you could be adjusting the sensitivity and looking at that to sort of get that level kind of where you want it. And that way you don't have to do it at the mixing board. You can do it right where the performer is. If that applies. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I like that. I like the plain English. You can read everything. It's nice having a meter on there. But anyway, the 5-second version of this, I know we wanted to keep this quick, is just getting enough signal, but leaving a little room for those transients. Some transients you really can't plan for, like the guy who just goes off the rails, like you said, woo,
Yeah.
Or drops the mic. I mean, those are sort of exceptional events,
It seems that they happen an awful lot sometimes.
Well, I keep a slingshot in my front of house box, so.
I'm sure that was really popular with Martina McBride, and she's like getting hit up one side of the head.
I'll tell you what, the great thing about Martina is I don't have to use the slingshot, when I'm working with pros, things go pretty good.
They know what they're doing. Yes.
The slingshot might get used on the lighting tech or something instead, and that's maybe just for sport, just, no,
Watch this. This is fun.
I just came off this tour, and the lighting designer is a really good friend of mine, just a great colleague of mine, also works at NLFX. All of the tech was provided by us, and it's really fantastic. And it was for a Christian band. And so we're playing, a lot of these auditoriums and large churches and that sort of thing, and small arenas. And a lot of our stagehands were church AV volunteers and that sort of thing. And of course, on tour, everything is really packaged for speed. It's how quickly can you get it off the trucks, get it set up, give yourself some time to deal with, road conditions or tires or whatever, we had 2 buses on the tour, and one of the buses lost air for the air ride. And that happened to be the one all the lead singers and stars were on. So of course we had to stop and fix that. And that, so you got to have time to absorb those kinds of unexpected things. Always expect the unexpected on tour. Anyway, again, lighting guy, really just a great friend of mine, super, super great guy, super talented, but lighting always takes more to set up. He had video walls, and he had, trussing and upstage, downstage, and on the deck and everything. Audio is ready pretty much, all the time, was always ready first. So I said, hey, why God said, let there be light? And he's like, why? I said, because the audio is already working. And that joke was funny, like the first 5 or 6 cities, and then pretty soon he's like, but to our volunteer crews at each venue, each of these stops, they'd never heard it before. They thought it was hilarious, but he didn't think it's very funny after.
Oh, funny.
Yes.
Oh, we got some more people coming.
We ran into the unexpected. We had I forget what it was. Anyway, it delayed us with the audio, and lighting got up first, and we never heard the end of that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have remembered that one. Yeah, rub that salty in a little bit more.
Oh yeah. Anyway, we still laugh about it, and that was I think that was a couple months ago, I guess now. But.
We have a little bit more we're going to talk about with microphones, gang. If you've got a question, please put that into the YouTube chat. I see a few more people have joined us here in the last few minutes. They didn't realize we were going to be starting at 8 o'clock.
Why did we start on time? We never start on time.
I know. We should have. Yeah, but hey, we're here and we're having fun. So we've talked about our gain on the microphone. Now on the receivers, there's a level on the receivers. I think in pretty much all of them, isn't that?
Not necessarily. Many don't. Let's take a look at this Eevee one, for example. I mean, it does. Here we can see a level, but I wouldn't say it's on every. Here's what I would say. This is a very unpopular answer. I'm sorry, but read the manual. I mean, just think some poor copywriter had to write that thing anyway. You might as well read it, even just skim it, understand what those buttons and knobs do. Obviously we love that you watch our show, and we love that you come here, and we love that we're a resource to you, but we really can't go through every wireless microphone ever made. And so just read the manual.
You do realize you're asking them to do something very painful.
I know. I don't like doing it either.
There's words and on white stuff and ink.
Words is hard.
Man.
Words is, I mean, yeah. Just, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Look at that. Man, and there's other languages in there.
Yeah, and some people don't even notice. I think it's like, Kryptonese or whatever. They're like, it didn't matter what language it's in. Immediately a friend of mine from Connecticut, who probably she'll know exactly who I'm talking about. I don't want to name her by name, but she's fantastic. She said, and she used to be very active in the industry, and she would come to many of my presentations, and she would say, "Oh, I just love hearing you speak. I love your presence. I don't have any idea what you said, but I just love hearing you speak." And I thought, I don't really know how to take that. I mean, is that a compliment? I don't know.
I think I've heard that one from a few people.
Yeah. Well, obviously the goal is that they leave, grabbing something, I mean, you sort of hit the bell curve, you don't want to underwhelm and you don't want to overwhelm, but anyway, she reminds me a lot of my mom in that way. My mom is the anti-tech. My mom couldn't set a digital watch, So. And, God bless her. Obviously nobody better than your mom. But what else you got for me today, John?
Well, we'll put that, because I think we're going to get into some other sound things that are going to probably tie into our microphone in just a little bit.
Okay.
A couple of questions that were submitted earlier today. Let's talk about a 31 band EQ.
Mm-hmm.
My first question, before we get into that question, is why is 31 bands kind of an industry? We've seen that. Why breaking it down into 31 sliders?
Somebody had a patent on 32, I guess. I don't know. Typically a 31 band EQ is a third of an octave. Anyway, it just sort of has become kind of the de facto industry standard. There's 15 band and 31 band EQs. And of course, with a 15 band, you could get two of them in the same space as a 31. But it's just sort of the de facto industry. Let's not worry about the why. It just is.
It just is. Yeah. I've often wondered that. And it's like, well, if there's anyone who would know.
Well, I tell you, one is how much, usefulness you want to accomplish. And again, thinking about the width of the filter at a third of an octave, and two, thinking about rack space, how many, sliders we can get in there. There's probably some magic to it, but again, I think the width of the filter is probably a big part of it. And then the width of the chassis is probably the nail in the coffin for why 31
it became the industry standard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just become industry standard, really.
So let's talk about how to eliminate feedback using an EQ.
All right. Super easy. Love it. Piece of cake. We did do an entire show on feedback suppression, and it's worth a watch. We did that a couple of years ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we did. It was quite a while ago.
So, to anybody curious about the topic, we did cover it pretty well, I think, and would encourage you to go give that a watch. But let's tackle this real quick here. Because this one was asked earlier today, I did have a minute to make some quick graphics. And when I say I mean Kat.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I made some quick graphics. I mean, it wasn't me, and don't think
Well,
it's you.
in
It was.
fairness, I took the screenshot of the spectrum analyzer, the spectral trace, and then I gave that to Kat. So, yes, big thanks to Kat for taking time out of her day to make these graphics. To help illustrate the point so that our viewers can extrapolate this a little easier. So go ahead and pop up the first one.
Yep, you and I are in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. So.
Oh, well, all right. Well, okie dokie then. So what you see here is a digital representation of a 31 band EQ on top, and a spectral trace of audio over time on the bottom. Okay. And what we're going to do now in our second picture is we're going to superimpose the EQ onto the spectral trace. Okay, let me know when you got that.
We're up and
well, of course you are. You're so on the ball. Now, in this spectral trace, dark colors are quiet sounds, and as we get to the warmer colors, that's louder sound. So we have this orange stripe running down there, and I used a tone generator so that I could basically pick something that would land right on, just to make an easy illustration for you. And it happens to be right at 1K, and we can see that the on the bottom there you see left to right the frequencies in hertz, and we see the frequencies of each filter on the EQ. I don't know how well you can see those, John.
I think they should be able to see, especially if they go full screen.
I tried to make it pretty easy to see. If not, just take my word for it that the stripe happens to land right at about 1K. And so in our next graphic, and this is going to sound so painfully simple, you'll think, well, that can't be all there is to it. Yes.
So what am I experiencing when I'm looking at this? You mentioned it was a tone generator, but what would this be? What are we simulating in real life? This would be a what?
Well, this would be the orange stripe represents our feedback, and that's the great thing about feedback is it's sort of constant. It's a long tone. Really, when I'm speaking, I'm all over the place. If you were looking at an RTA when I'm speaking, in fact, go ahead and get an RTA out and do it and listen to the show. I mean, this is the kind of things I want, but it's exactly the kind of people we want watching, you'd see things all over the place, some of the fundamentals and, whatever. But feedback, being a sort of a constant tone, a loop, regardless of what frequency it's at, is going to show up in this case, either as sort of a steady bar in an RTA or a stripe in a spectral trace, which makes it really easy to just say, there it is. Now, there's another way you can do this, and this is kind of the recommended way for all audio professionals, and that's train your ears, learn. We played a little game at the audio symposium. We played tones and had people guess, and what's that? Oh, it's 1K. Yeah, you're right. Okay,
Did they get a cookie when they get it right?
And they got a certificate when the thing was done, but they had a lot of cookies. We had cookies we had cookies in the hallway nonstop.
That's what we want to hear.
Many cookies were consumed during the audio symposium. Hundreds, I think. I'm not even joking. I'm not joking. Anyway, so, obviously, being able to use your ears is great, where you can just sort of kind of go in and say, you know what, that's around here and knock something down and see if it goes away. But in this case, I wanted to illustrate it ironclad. There you can see it plain as day. It's 1K. So in this case, we go simply find the filter for 1K and bring it down a little bit.
There was a question somebody asked, sine wave, question mark.
Oh, a sine wave is sound. I mean, that's how sound travels. It travels in a wave, compression, rarefaction, it's oscillating. Now, when what we hear in terms of a pure tone is a sine wave, like 1K would be one sine wave. When I talk, you're hearing lots and lots of sine waves. Fourier talked about it, being complex sine waves, lots of them creating different frequencies. But again, that's one of the really beautiful things about feedback is it tends to be, maybe has some harmonics, but it tends to be pretty much right on one frequency, at least, the primary troublemaker.
Sure.
So we can go in and find that. And so when I say sine wave, I just mean an audio wave. I'm sorry for the confusion. Mm-hmm. We can go in and find that fader on 1K and bring it down a little bit. Don't take it all the way to the bottom. if you have to, you got a really big problem. Bring it down a little bit. 3-4 dB. See what happens. If you
is this the time for the down graphic?
Oh yes, please put on the down graphic.
Okay, see, guys. Now we spare no expense when it comes to.
I made this graphic.
Here it is.
Can you tell?
Look at that.
Black box, black arrow.
That's pretty.
The extent of my graphic capabilities. And I've seen, you see these things joked about, and sometimes it's we're laughing at somebody else's expense because it's something somebody did, but you'll see EQs where everything is pushed down. Well, you didn't EQ anything. You just brought the volume down of everything. If you're making lots of massive EQ cuts, you have a bigger problem somewhere else. That's not what EQs are for. That's not where the problem really lies. And that's a different show. I think we did talk about EQs on the show too. If not, we should, and we could get into some 301 stuff like, phase and magnitude. But for now, let's just keep it really simple. The problem's at 1K. We want to just reduce the sensitivity of our system at 1K. We're going to bring that fader down a little bit and see if the problem goes away. If the problem's still there, we could bring it down a little bit more. That's all right. And then typically what I'll do, I'll try to create feedback on purpose. Before the guests arrive, before I, have a problem I have to deal with in the real world, and that's what we call ringing it out. And I'll go find that problem frequency. Then I'll bring my gain up a little more till my next problem pops up, and I'll smash that one down. And again, maybe I need a little deeper cut on the first one I find and not so much of a cut on the second one because it took more gain to get to that second problem. So when I have, I just did a dinner show with an Elvis impersonator. He's fantastic, by the way. He's absolutely hilarious. And he's walking right in front of speakers, line array. He's walking right in front of line array, singing to little old ladies, Yep. And I got to make sure he can sing and be loud and be clear and not have feedback. And so, I do all that while he's in his dressing room. That's my job.
Mm-hmm. So in order to simulate that, now, were you out there walking with the microphone in front of the speakers with music going to simulate that? Or how were you kind of trying to get this set up for him?
I sent a stagehand, and here again, this is a little more complex because I'm trying to ring him out of his own monitors. I got to make sure he's not feeding back in his stage monitors. And then I also got to ring him out of the house. Yeah. But I also don't want to cut too much because, if you just cut everything, you just cut him, Yeah. So you got to try to find a way to get what you need out, very precise and narrow cuts there. I personally, I'll use a parametric EQ instead of a graphic. But graphics are great. Nothing wrong with them. So, it's sometimes I will use a graphic, but anyway, no, I generally don't use music because the feedback's going to be there with or without it, but we'll try different things like cupping the mic and, different positions and just see if we can start finding problems and eliminate them best we can,
Just checking the chat room here.
They don't want to sleep.
No. They're listening and
because they're my peeps.
They're there. A question on. We'll get back to the Yamaha one. Before we've got the graphic up with the arrow going down. Are there some frequencies that are kind of tend to be some of the feedback frequencies as we're looking across the spectrum here, or can it be everywhere?
It's going to depend on two things fundamentally. It's going to depend on your microphone, and every microphone has different sensitivities. If you look at the audio response of a microphone, mm-hmm. Mic manufacturers have contoured these to serve a specific purpose. Vocal mics should be more sensitive in the vocal range, whatever. And maybe you'll see some boosts and cuts for intelligibility or the characteristic sound that mic manufacturer wants. And your speakers, your system. And then of course we can factor in the room, but really the mic, the speakers in the room, those are your biggies. So one thing you could do to avoid problems, and again, DJ mixers are just not well equipped for this. And I'm sorry, I don't design them, believe me. And I never win the argument when I bring it up with the designers, I know it's a matter of cost, but a low cut. I don't need anything below 100 hertz in my vocals. It shouldn't be there. It should just, on a DJ mixer, it just be cut to begin with. You don't even need a switch. Just cut it and be gone.
Right.
You would need that on a live soundboard because you don't know what's coming in that channel. Maybe it's a kick drum mic or a bass, guitar where you do want those frequencies or floor tom or something. But, in a vocal mic, it should just be gone. gone. Get rid of it. Everything below 100 hertz, just go away. I don't want it. Don't need it. And then you don't have to worry about those frequencies.
Sure. Let's see. Let's get back to, there's a gentleman that has a Yamaha mixer, and it's got a compression knob on the mixer.
Mm-hmm.
What would that be?
Well, it's a compressor. It's built into the mixer. There's a couple companies that offer mixers that have, these small analog mixing boards that have built-in compressors. And, pros and cons. It's nice to have it. Again, compression's got to be used properly. We really don't have time to get into that today, I'm afraid. But there's a show for you. We could maybe fire up a board that's got some, digital boards, got some nice graphics that I think helps somebody understand what a compressor is doing and how to use it and how not to. I know you and I have talked about compression on your studio mic, and I think that's helped a bit. And, just not today. I think that the simplest answer is it's a compressor. And it's there. It provides compression.
Okay.
Maybe next Tuesday if you're good boys and girls.
Microfoam. The question was, does microfoam damage mics?
Is this like for exfoliating your skin?
Are you talking foam similar to what I've got on this one? Day and Night asked that. So if that's it, we'll come back to it.
All right.
Is that what you're referring to? Or are you something in the inside? And the reason I've gone to this is because I've had some people who have had just nasty breath, they've just and then I use my mic and it stinks for days until I take it all apart, and literally
all that alcohol vapors in there and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it's just been horrid at a couple of events this year. So
you ever heard of the band Guar?
No.
It's a rock band called Guar, and they have these giant like monster costumes and great stage show. Anyway, I have a friend who's done sound for them, and he talks about hanging the microphones upside down in the trailer to let the fake blood drain out.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Stuff you just don't think about in the shows I do, having to cover your monitors to keep all that stuff from getting dumped in them. And yet try to preserve some acoustic intelligibility. Anyway, those windscreens, that's typically what I would call that as a windscreen. They're good for, as the name implies, sort of reducing wind. There's better ways like, dead rabbit or dead cat. Sometimes they're called the big furry ones.
Yep.
Basically what we're trying to do is keep that wind or that air from getting to the capsule and the air pressure from doing that. Another place that's really useful is plosives, the P, the getting rid of those nasty pops, So, but if they damage microphones, no, not really.
Well, what it was is day and night, it's an anti-microbial. Microbial? Am I saying that right? It's a cleaner. It's basically a cleaner for cleaning the microphone.
Ooh, Well, I guess it depends on where you're using it. I'd be real careful with liquids and chemicals around the capsule itself. I don't know exactly what is in an antimicrobial. I guess I'd have to look at the chemical content, and it might depend on different ones. But I'd be real careful about getting into the insides. Here, let's take a mic apart.
Yeah.
Getting into that capsule. Now, here's a little plug for our friends at Eevee, but the RE2 does have a hydrophobic cloth, which is designed, I was looking around to see if I have any water, but anyway, it's designed to keep water out. You can literally pour water on here, and I don't recommend it, but it's designed to keep water out of the capsule because, of course, inside here you have, the dynamic capsule, the windings and everything. So
once you took that apart, now can you clean the other, the mesh
inside here?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. You can clean this. You can replace it. You could certainly, you could soak this in an antimicrobial, and it's not going to damage the mic. Again, avoid harsh chemicals. Make sure you rinse it out good, I think, so that you're not exposing your guests to something weird too.
Yeah.
It's such a broad topic. I feel like we got to sort of be careful how we answer that.
Yeah, no, but I think that gives the idea that taking it apart, and once you don't have the electronics in there, they can clean that.
Well, I think it's a really good idea too. I heard this expression years ago, and it's really stuck with me. And I think once you hear it, it'll stick with you. Microphones are like toothbrushes. I know a lot of people I've worked with, a lot of A-listers who will never share a microphone with somebody,
Yeah.
and I don't blame them. I mean, look, it's microphones are small and easy to carry. I'd have my own mic,
Yeah.
Some singers not so much. Maybe it's not their concern, but yeah, to me, I know you don't have that luxury with karaoke and that sort of thing, but I guess it's not a bad idea to clean them, disinfect them,
Yeah. Ben, we are
and
almost
consult your users manual.
Hey, back to the manual. There we go. We've got another question, of course, that somebody shared today about DMX, but let's kind of push that one off to next week, and let's do a little bit of if we can set it up to do kind of a mock setting up of a small DMX light show.
Sure. And I can answer the question that was asked today real quick. We could do it next week, but I can answer it in one word, basically.
Yeah. Okay. The question was, do you determine your DMX addresses before you set up for an event, or do you do it at the event?
Before. I mean, why not? I did make an example, and we can go more into depth here in the coming week, but go ahead and take me to full screen and see if we can see that.
Yep, just one sec here. Pops it up. There we are.
So here you can see there's red numbers and blue numbers, and those represent the two DMX universes that are being used on this plot. But we did it before. I mean, why? Unless it's a small or simple light show and you just want to do it on site, or maybe you don't know what instruments you're going to get. You don't know, I can't see any compelling reason not to do it ahead of time. Communicate it clearly with everybody who's going to be involved in the setup. It gives you a better chance to catch errors, a better idea of, what you're going to need for supporting infrastructure. But yeah, we can do this in a subsequent week, and we can set some things up. I don't see any reason why not to do it before if you can. I don't.
And what you were showing us was a sketch of the stage and the lighting for the stage. And a lot of the modern software will allow you to kind of lay out the light show and actually kind of preview it in the software now. Isn't that pretty
yeah, fun? Absolutely. No doubt. This was just done in CAD, but here you can see, we've got this is a scenic, and here we have some, sort of color bars to light the scenic. You've got your upstage, we've got a mid-stage scenic, we've got a mid-stage, and we've got our downstage. And I don't know why you wouldn't do it before, I guess. Maybe somebody can come up with a reason.
Well, I think what we should do is kind of talk about that, because a lot of people, DMX is one that a lot of people are just really super intimidated by. And
well, we can help you, and I tell you what, I'm sorry, here comes the sales pitch, but I hear every day from people who watch the videos, enjoy them, and we're glad for that. But it wouldn't break my heart if you also bought the gear from me. If I'm going to help you with it, I don't think it's unreasonable to say we should get paid for it, So why not give yourself that next level support, that opportunity to ask myself and my colleagues, again, touring lighting designers and people like that. I mean, we love to help you. I just don't think it's unfair to ask you to buy the product from us too, So, and if you think it's unfair, I guess then, that's up to you, I guess. But.
And it's not unfair. So you guys just go out to nlfxpro.com, or better yet, call up, get the phone number off the website, call Kat, and say you were watching the show and Ben said to buy that wire tester, or that controller, or those speakers, or all of them,
or whatever you need. By the way, we do have I think 4 or 5 really killer end of the year products, end of the year specials on some products going on right now. Manufacturers are maybe trying to make good numbers by the end of the year. Whatever the reason is, you should take advantage of it. Get the tax break. Rather than giving that money to Uncle Sam. Invest in your business and put that gear in your arsenal, and save a little on the tax and save a bunch on the gear right now. So, if you need it, if you don't need it, don't spend the money. I'm not trying to just tell you to buy something, but if you do, it's a great time. Everybody's trying to make their end of the year. And I'm happy to report we've made our goal for the year. So, this is selfless. We could be like, hey, just wait till next year. That'll help us next year. But we're saying, no, the deals are now. We'll go ahead and take it.
Cool stuff. Good stuff. nlfxpro.com is a place to go check out and see what's going on there. And again, if you're wondering, it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm in the market for some gear, give them a call and they'll tell you what those end of the year deals are, or sign up for their email, because I've been getting some of their NLFX insider emails that are showing me what some of these deals are and such. And
let me tell you a big dirty secret. Let me give you the inside on the insider email.
Shh. Go ahead.
This is going to blow your mind. I learn about those things the same time you do. So if you really want to be on the inside, be on the insider email, because I get them and I'm going, oh, we're doing a special on that, I guess. You know, sometimes I wake up to Facebook messages. People say, tell me about that promo. I'm like, what promo? And listen, that's how it works. I mean, this is not a bad thing. I have my role in the company, and I have a great team of wonderful coworkers. If you saw our end of the year thank you video, you saw all the smiling faces that, and a few that couldn't be on the video for their traveling or whatever. But those are the people who are really making it happen every day, day in and day out at NLFX. That is the backbone and the heartbeat of NLFX. I'm just the eye candy. But, in all seriousness, take advantage of my coworkers' knowledge and desire to help, and always feel free to reach out to me. I get people who email me or Facebook message me and they say, I just feel bad doing it. I know you're so busy. I know you must get thousands of messages. I do. And I love them. I love them all. I tell you, don't be afraid. Listen, if I'm busy, I've got this great team of coworkers who can help me out, and we're going to make sure you're taken care of. But I love hearing from you, and I love helping you out too. So
good stuff. Good stuff. Ben, we need to let you get back to your family this evening and enjoy this time off while the kids are home. So once again, gang, if you want to get in touch with Ben, pop out, catch him on Facebook, or give him a call up at the office. He'll take good care of you. Ben, I think we got another week, I think, before you hit the road, or I don't know.
We've got, gosh, you know what? I haven't really thought about exactly. I suppose that's about right.
Yeah, but we got one more. So
I'm just enjoying the time. I'm just enjoying being home and having the kids. And my wife is counting down until school starts again. But
kids out one day, and it's like, okay, Ben, you've been around for a while. Come on, Ben.
Pretty much.
Good stuff. Gang, we'll be back in just a little bit. I'm going to post the link for the next show. I've got Brian Red coming in just a couple of moments, and we're going to be starting off talking about getting ready for New Year's Eve, and then we'll be wrapping it up a little bit later tonight with our Brian's tribute to the different performers who have passed in 2016. So, Ben, thanks for being on, and we will catch you next week, my friend.
Sounds good.
All right. Good night, everyone.